Good morning, everybody. My name is Carla, and you have reached my FlossTube channel, Carla being Crafty, where I talk about mostly cross stitch, but also other crafts and life and everything like that. I do videos once a week on Sundays. However, this is a FlossTube extra. It is a 3-day holiday weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend here in California, well, in the United States. And so I thought, you know what? I have an extra day. I have all these plans to get a bunch of stuff done this weekend. And I thought it'd be fun to do a bit of an extra video. So as you can tell by the title, this video is all about the skin on a fancy lady. Whether that be a Mirabilia, Nora Corbett, Bella Filipina, Joan, Elliot. Those are the ones that I have started. There's many more out there, but those are the 3 that I am most familiar with. And what we're kind of going to be discussing is the differences basically in looks and different techniques and stuff for doing the skin, comparing doing like a 2/2 skin, which would be the same way you're stitching the entire project, doing a 1/1 skin, or doing a 2/1 tent. So those are the 3 methods that I have used, tried, and I have a few thoughts. And so I thought I'd come on here and share it with you. I know when I was first doing like my first fancy lady, which just as a side note, when I first started stitching, which was in 2019, I had seen all of the Mirabilias and all the fancy ladies, and I thought, oh gosh, they're so gorgeous, and I don't think I'll ever stitch one. Well, I have eaten my words because I started stitching them and love them and want to start a ton. I have several in various stages of being completed now, and I think that there will be many more fancy ladies in my future. Whether they all make it onto the wall or just end up kind of in a box somewhere, that remains to be seen. I'm sort of a combination between a process and a project stitcher. So although I only want to stitch on projects that I really love and enjoy, once they're done, I'm not, for the most part, super anxious about having to get them finished and up on the wall. But I have been enjoying stitching on the fancy ladies, and the skin is one of those things that people debate about. So the first time that I was going to stitch one, I did a YouTube search because I wanted to see the difference. What's the difference between the 1/1 skin and the 2/1 skin, and to try and decide how I was going to do it. And there wasn't a lot out there to show, so I thought, well, you know what, I'll put my 2 cents in, and hopefully this will be helpful to somebody or interesting. So obviously, the first option for doing the skin of a fancy lady would be to do it 2/2 if you're working on evenweave, or 2/1 Aida square if you are an Aida, just the way you would do the rest of the project. So I have a couple that are like that. For different reasons. One of them, I was planning on doing the skin either 1/1 or 2/1 tent. But I ended up having to use an Aida fabric because, well, let me just show you. This is Enchantress of the Abyss by Bella Filipina. And I had a very specific idea in mind of what I wanted for the fabric. And I wanted this dark. I wanted dark opalescent fabric, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find exactly what I wanted. So I ended up having to dye what I wanted. And because I wanted it to be dark, the Lugana that I totally enjoy using, and what I was intending on using, I could not get it dark enough. It was dark when it was wet, and then it would dry lighter, and I just couldn't get it to hold the color. So I ended up having to dye an Aida, and this is the fabric. I dyed it myself. But because it is an Aida, I was not going to try and do any kind of piercing of the Aida square. So by default, she had to have regular 2/1 Aida square skin. And which was not my original intention for her. But you know what? I think she looks gorgeous regardless. So this gives you an idea of the skin on an Aida. Just stitched with the same kind of stitches that you would stitch the rest of your project in. Okay, I have Bellatrix by Filipina and Autumn Equinox Pixie, also by Filipina. And these, although they are on an even weave, I ended up doing the skin again 2/2 like the rest of the stitches. With Bellatrix, I will be honest, I just forgot. I forgot to even think about doing it a different way. And she doesn't have that much skin showing in her face anyway. But that is what it looks like. And with my Autumn Equinox Pixie, I started with her arm, and I had a problem with the color. The original color that was charted just blended into my fabric too much, so I decided to darken her skin. So I was more concerned with doing the color conversion rather than worrying about doing the skin 2/1. And I'm really glad I didn't do 2/1 because I ended up having to pull out the colors or the stitches on her arm like twice to get the color right. And pulling out 2/1 or 1/1 skin, that's very difficult. So anyway, I ended up doing it again 2/2, just like the rest of the project. And again, I think she looks gorgeous. So there's nothing wrong with doing the skin 2/2. Okay, there's nothing, let me say that again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Your projects are going to be gorgeous regardless. But if you want to do something a little bit different, if you want to do the skin with the teeny tiny stitches, there's 2 other ways to do it. So when I started Ella, the Frog Princess, which is by Mirabilia, I really kind of wanted to try the 2/1 skin. This is Ella. Now, one thing I will say about at least this chart, but I think Mirabilia's in general, it's been said by a lot of people, she has very, very pale skin on most of her fancy ladies, to the extent that with Ella, one of the lightest color of the skin was actually white, which I just thought was ridiculous. So I bumped that up a tiny little bit and took the white out, but I mean, she's still extremely pale. The other thing with Mirabilia's is the skin often has a lot of blends. So with doing 1/1, that creates like a dilemma, like how do you do that? So with this one, I solved that issue by doing the bottom leg, the darker color, and the top leg, the lighter color, so that I still have the blends, but yeah, so I'm not completely done with her arms, but I am done with her face. And this is what the 2/1 looks like. And you can see as compared to like her hair, which is 2/2. So again, very beautiful, just a slightly different look. So as a comparison, here is 2/2 skin versus 1/1 skin. And again, this was done with the blended colors, doing a different color on each separate leg. And then the last kind of method, because I have to say I like the way that the 1/1 skin looks, but I don't enjoy doing the 1/1 skin. And when I have started recently in my full coverage charts, I'm doing a lot of 2/1 tent stitch, like on 28 count. So I thought, well, let me try that for the skin on a project. So this is Sweet Pea Fairy by Joan Elliot. And so I decided to try doing 2/1 tent stitch. Now, when I started doing this, I was like, kind of like wondering while I was doing it, it's like, why does this seem so difficult? Well, it turns out this is not 28 count fabric, it's 32 count fabric. So this is really tiny 2/1 tent. Doing the tent stitch, the 2/1 tent stitch does take away the blending problem because, you know, it's 2 strands. So you can still do your blends, which I have done with this. So this is 2/1 tent stitch skin. Oops, I'm moving her the wrong way. Which I think I like the best as far as looks. And I like it as far as method better than the 1/1. I don't know, to me, it just gives the skin a kind of velvety look. And I like the fact that the blends are the way pretty much they're intended. And again, compared to, let's say, a 2/2. So again, it's going to be a matter of personal preference and what you enjoy more. Which way do you enjoy stitching more? I think going forward in the future, I will probably, if I am able to do, or if I'm able to use an even weave, I will probably do most of my fancy ladies with 2/1 tent skin. If they're bigger ones like this. Now, if I do smaller ones like, this is one of the Nora Corbett Bewitching Pixies. And with these, I'm working on my 3rd one, and I have not even worried about doing the skin with smaller stitches because they're not detailed in their facial features anyway. I mean, they don't really have facial features. So for these types of projects, I think the 2/2 is just fine. It looks good. It fits the style of the project. But as I said, I'm having an avalanche. Okay. Going forward, I think that for projects on even weave, I will probably use 2/1 tent. Now, an exception may be I have Olivia, here she is. Yeah. Olivia is the Forest Witch, and she's kind of a companion of sorts to this one. They face each other, and like this one's looking out of a window with her staff, and this one's kind of looking up with her staff. So I think that they're kind of companion pieces. So I will probably try and do this one on the same size fabric as this, you know, count fabric, and I will probably do the face 2/2 because this one is done 2/2. And if I do end up like framing them and hanging them together, I want them to match in that way. But I really love the way this Joan Elliot has come out as far as the skin. So I really like this method. Again, doing it on 32 count is challenging, but doable. Again, you don't want to have to frog it, because I don't know how you would get that stuff out without destroying it. But I really like how the 2/1 tent looks. The 1/1 also looks really good, I think, but I don't enjoy the method as much. I especially don't enjoy having to do the blends with 2 separate strands and keeping track of them. So, but it still looks really good. So those are the 3 methods that I have done, that I've used, that are available. And again, you know, it's a personal preference thing. As to what you enjoy, how you enjoy stitching. So yeah, I think that that's about it. That gives you an idea of the 3 different ways that I've chosen to do the skin. Again, if it's on Aida, there's just no option. And I mean, I'm really happy with this one regardless. I think she looks gorgeous. Aida is fun to work on too. So sometimes you just want the ease of working on an Aida. And the skin is going to look fantastic no matter how you do it. You just need to choose which method you think that you would enjoy more. And I also encourage you, if you're not happy with the skin colors that have been chosen, to go ahead and experiment and change them. I did use a color palette from Lord Libidan, I think is how you pronounce it. He had, I think, 3 different darker skin tones, and I ended up going with the darkest. I didn't think I would, but it was the one that looked the best on this fabric. And I think that this skin color really lends itself to this autumn fairy. I think she's really beautiful. So don't be intimidated by changing skin color either. Yeah, it's fun to do. And you're going to end up with a gorgeous project no matter which way you choose to do it. So anyway, I hope that you found this little video informative, helpful. If you have any questions about the techniques or doing it, I mean, it's basically, you know, it's just stitching. It's nothing unusual. I mean, you know, it's either 1/1 or 2/1 tent. And it's just making regular X's or half X's. You know, it's just that mixed in with the rest of the project. It just, to me, makes the skin look really velvety, and I really like the way it looks. So anyway, thank you for watching the video. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them below. And until I see you again, please remember to be content, be kind, and be crafty. This is Carla. Bye-bye.